It's Friday, November 3rd, and when it's Friday, you know what that means. It's time for Comics Forever. Welcome back to Comics Forever, the weekly show where I tell you about all the comics that we love that you should be reading. It's now November. I am temporarily done with a couple horror books at the moment, and I promised you more superhero recommendations. So let's get into some awesome Marvel and DC classic superhero comics. First up from DC, a classic and a personal favorite of mine, JLA, The Tower of Babel. This one's by Mark Waid and Howard Porter. Essentially, it is a story of Batman being habitually paranoid and having a contingency plan against all of the members of the Justice League, which would be fine, except Ra's al Ghul stole the plans and used them all at the same time to take out the entire Justice League. So, some trust issues arise. It's really fun. This deluxe hardcover version includes the 4-issue Tower of Babel event, but also the issues of Mark Waid's JLA that precede it. I recently reread this because we talked about it on my podcast, Tales from the Short Box. Go listen to that if you are so inclined to hear our review, and it was just a blast. It's a lot of fun, and man, Batman is very paranoid, and it's intense. Like, the ways in which he takes out his friends, essentially, is pretty dark, and this book is so much fun. So check out JLA, Tower of Babel. Next up, from the Marvel side of things, we've got Captain Marvel by Kelly Thompson, with art by Carmen Carnero and Anna Paolo Martello. It's really awesome. This is the first 2 arcs of Kelly Thompson's run on Captain Marvel, which has really become like a modern classic. It's kind of like not redefining the character, but continuing to define the character in the same way that Kelly Sue DeConnick did. So if you're gonna read Captain Marvel, it's gotta be written by a Kelly. Those are the rules. I don't make the rules. That's just the way it is. And this is a great introduction to the character if you're not super familiar with her. Like, if you're going into the Marvels going like, what's her deal exactly? Right here. This answers all the questions for you. Very complicated past, and Kelly Thompson does a kick-ass job of bringing it all together and making it really fun. So check out Captain Marvel by Kelly Thompson today. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Comics Forever. If you are so inclined, as I mentioned before, I've got a podcast. It's called Tales from the Short Box, and every week we do comic book recommendations on new issues and graphic novels, so go check that out, Tower of Babel or otherwise. This week we're doing Supergirl, I believe, so go check that out, and we'll see you next Friday for even more Comics Forever.